Hi, I'm Rebecca Harris, and welcome to this edition of Faces and Places. Today we're visiting the Russell County Child Advocacy Center, and the short name for that is the Russell County CAC. We're going to be visiting today with Director Lynn Hammock, and she's going to take us on a tour of the facility. Join me. So Lynn, I know that you're very busy, but I appreciate you taking the time out today to talk to us a little bit about what you do.
Thank you for having me, or having us, I guess is probably a better way of saying it.
Well, on our show, Faces and Places, we like for the public to get to know people. So not only do we want to know about what you do, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, that's a hard one. I'm much better at telling a little bit about what we do and who we are. But I've been here at the CAC this is going to my 16th year as the director, and have 30 years of experience in the field of child abuse. So this is pretty much what I've been brought up in. So this is what I know. I have a master's degree in counseling, so I've been able to use the clinical end as well as the experience in administration to be able to do what needs to be done here at the center.
So do you live in Phoenix City or in the area?
I actually live in Smith Station, but I've been working in Phoenix City, not just here, but at a previous employer that was here in Phoenix City and had done some contract work for about 20 years now. But my husband and I are in Smith Station, yeah.
Okay, and who is your husband?
Brian Hammock. He's just a good man. I can't thank him enough for really supporting the work that I do, because it takes a special person to tolerate someone who works in the nonprofit sector. So I give him kudos for that. He's my rock.
And I know that you have a son you're very, very proud of.
Yes, my son Cody is a nurse in the ER in LaGrange, and my stepson is Luke, who is actually at Auburn. And he is in a program in biomedical, and it's funny because I always get it messed up, so I just say in the medical field. So he's going to be applying into medical school next year. So his dad and his mom are very proud of the success that he's had. And then my stepdaughter lives in Texas and works at the University of Texas. So,
well, that's awesome.
Yeah, 3 great kids.
And I hear that Cody's going to get married.
Yes, he is. May 5th. It'll be here before we know it. His fiancée, Kim, is also a nurse in Valley. So if nothing else, hopefully I'll have somebody take care of me when I'm older and need some assistance. Maybe they'll be there for me. So, but yeah, we're very excited. We're gaining a wonderful family.
Well, I think it's important when people see you out and about. You know, sometimes you get so caught up in what people do that you forget that they're real people too.
Yeah, that's true.
So thank you for sharing a little bit about your personal life with us.
Thank you for asking the questions, because otherwise I wouldn't know what to tell you. So that's good. So thank you.
Well, I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about why you decided to go into this field. Is it a calling for you? Because I know that it would take somebody very special to do what you do.
I think it's a calling for anybody that's in this field. I think I can say that on behalf of the staff that are here. You can't do this job and it not be a part of you.
Right.
You take it home with you, maybe not physically, but emotionally you do. It's one of those that I thought about education when I was in high school, and that was kind of the field that I thought I would go in. And then all of a sudden something just took a shift, and it was the helping field. And I think that's one of the reasons that my son's also in the helping field, because his dad and myself both being, in the helping arena, just kind of led him down that path as well. But yeah, I don't know if we can, individually, if we can pinpoint what it was that made us all choose, especially with nonprofit. You can be in a helping field and it not be nonprofit.
Right.
It's a whole nother breed when it's nonprofit world. So, but you have to love it to be in it.
Well, I know that you sometimes have to work really, really late hours, so kudos to your family for helping you out during those times when you have so much you have to do, especially when you're getting ready for the father-daughter dance.
Oh, yes, that's a crazy one. We were talking before about how my mother is now living with us. God bless her, love my mama. And I'm up doing props at midnight for the dance or doing things because there's just really not enough time during the day,
right?
Because you have the business and things to do. So we're kind of scattered trying to get things done in a time frame. But the father-daughter dance is one of those things that, yes, it's a lot of work and it pushes us to the very last minute before the dance, but it's the event that we love the most. It's the one thing that we look forward to.
How long have you been doing that?
This is our 12th year.
Wow.
Yep, 12 different themes, 12 years, and it never ceases to amaze me at the feeling that you get when you walk into that room and you have over 500 dads and daughters of all ages on a dance floor, and it's so funny to watch these girls. They walk in and you can tell that their moms worked really hard getting hair done and nails done just right and these pretty dresses. And 5 minutes after pictures, shoes are this way, pantyhose are that way, and dads are like, go ahead, do what you want to do, have fun. And cameras are going off everywhere. It's just great. It is wonderful to watch the relationships that they have and how much they enjoy it. So it's a pleasure for us to put the event on.
Well, when I was working at Parks and Rec, we used to sell tickets for you guys. And so we've seen this grow from a very small little event to a huge event now.
Yes.
So why do you have the father-daughter dance?
It's actually a fundraiser, but we have 2 fundraisers a year because we have to bring to our budget about $50,000 a year just in fundraising alone. The dance doesn't really generate that much money, but it generates a whole lot more than that for us. It's not about the dollars that we make, it's about the relationships that are made as an event like this shows. It's about healthy relationships, and it's not just with dads, because we know that some daughters may not have their fathers in their life.
Right.
So it's father figures. We've had granddads, we've had uncles, we've had stepdads, we've had big brothers, we've had neighbors, we've had dads that were in the military and in Afghanistan, and someone else would bring the daughter that was a family member or someone close to her. I can remember a dad, and I wish I could think of his name, but he was coming in from Afghanistan the morning of the dance and actually had his wife get the tickets to surprise the girls to go to the dance that night. And we all cried when he walked through the door.
I bet.
We had them do the first dance that night. So
That is so sweet.
That's what it's all about. It
I
really
know you have a
is.
lot of stories to tell about that.
And it's wonderful. We're wore out by the time it's over with, and everybody's gotten to where we used to wear heels. Now we wear flats, or we don't wear flats at all. We wear our house shoes by the end of the night. And we get out there with the girls, and we have just as much fun as they do. So it's great. And we can't do that without our volunteers and the people in the community. So, it's a kudos to the community for letting us and helping us put the event on. So,
And then the other event is a golf tournament?
golf tournament. We do that in October. That's probably our biggest money maker. And it gets bigger every year, just in terms of, not that we have that many more golfers, but it seems like we do more with it. We have a silent auction and all that goes with it. So that usually raises about $23,000 for us. And that's huge for a small community like us to have that kind of fundraiser right here in Phoenix City, because there are fundraisers in bigger towns that don't generate that kind of money. So, again, that comes from community support and businesses and individuals that are doing things for us.
Right. Phoenix City is so generous. And, I did the United Way campaign for the city for a long time, and I was just blown away, especially by the firefighters, because they get it. They understand what you do here. And so, a lot of them would make their donations specified to this center. So, the work that you do here is so, so special. So we want to do everything that we can do to get behind you. So if you don't know about the center, I'm sure that we're going to go on a tour here in just a minute. But if you don't know about the center, I'm sure that Lynn would be able to sit down and talk to you and answer any questions that you have. So we're going to try to hit the highlights now. But what I would like for you to do, I have seen you come and give your little spiel about what you do here at the United Way. And I came out here for a tour one time. And it just really blew me away, all of the different aspects of what goes on in this little building. Yeah. So we're going to go take a tour right now.
So Lynn, we're here at the Russell County Child Advocacy Center, which a lot of people see that, especially on the advertisements for the father-daughter dance and the golf tournament and other things that you do out in the community. But can you tell us what that means? What is it?
Yes. We work with children who are victims of sexual abuse, severe physical abuse, neglect, and we have so many different things that are falling into that. Because over the years, things have definitely changed. You now have sex trafficking. You have homes that are either dealing drugs, making drugs in their homes, so kids are being exposed. So that's a whole nother charge. So we do serve those kids that are in those kind of environments where they get put in harm's way. The cases that we serve are cases that are going to be prosecutable by law. Any sex abuse case is prosecutable. So all sex abuse cases in Russell County, Phoenix City come to us. Rather than a child having to go to 7, 8 different people to tell their story, that's why Child Advocacy Center exists. We've been here 20 years now. We've been in this building 11 of those 20, going on 12. Either DHR or law enforcement will call us and say that they need to have an interview done. And we schedule it. So all of those parties, DA's office, DHR, law enforcement, all come here, and we meet the family here, and we have 2 trained forensic interviewers who do those interviews of the children. And once the interview takes place, in the observation, or while they're in the interview, in the observation room, you will have all of those other parties, so that the child doesn't have to talk to all of those people.
That's so
They're
great.
only talking to the one person, and it's videotaped. So then if it goes to trial, we don't have to worry about that child having to tell that part of the story all over again, but they can look back a year, 2 years before and say, this is how old this child was, this is what they said, it's consistent now. So that's what we do from the forensic interview part of it. And then we can kind of talk about the other things that we do as we go through, because it will make more sense.
Right.
I love the fact that we're doing this for the first time. I can go out and talk about the center all day long, but until you go through it and you come out here and see it, you just can't put it together. So I really appreciate you coming and going out of y'all's way to actually let us do this. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. At CTV Beam, we're very interested in letting the community know the resources that we have here in this area. I think I heard you say one time that there's like 5 agencies in the state of Alabama.
Well, there's, as far as child advocacy centers, there's 31 child advocacy centers. And the stat that I was probably giving you was about our medical exam room.
Yes.
That of those 31, we are only one of 5 child advocacy centers that have their medical component, their medical room inside their facility. And that speaks volumes as far as I'm concerned for us to be, I say Little Russell County, and we actually have something that a lot of the bigger CACs don't. So we're very proud of that. Yeah.
Will you take us on a little tour now?
I sure will. This is the area that, when I'm talking about the forensic interview. In this room will be the forensic interviewer and the child, and it appears to be sterile, but it's that way on purpose. If you put too many distractions in a room for a child that you're trying to get them to tell a story, it's really difficult for them, and they want to move around and bounce out of the chair and start doing other things. So we try to keep them on track, and that's the way that we do that. We are very fortunate. We have Deidre Rosser and Danielle Rapicki that do those interviews for us, both with lots of experience in the field. And that makes our cases even stronger for those kids that make disclosures. In this room, we call this our observation room. We have the equipment set up so that the different components of the team that are working together on the cases, the DHR worker, the family advocate, if she needs to be in the room, law enforcement, and the DA's office, they will sit in this room and they'll watch the video watch the interview as it's occurring. During the interview, rather than having to get the child in and out of the room, or have the interviewer come in and out of the room and leaving the child in the room by themselves, they actually can type questions in on the computer, and then it comes up behind the child's head. So that if a child said, well, it happened in a bedroom in the house, but they didn't tell you what bedroom, and the interviewer kept talking, then law enforcement may say, ooh, I missed something. What bedroom was it? Whose bedroom was it? And so they may type in, ask whose room, and then they can look up, see the question, ask the child, and the child never has to see a break in the way the interview is going. That's a whole lot easier than having the earpiece in. We've tried those before, and especially for somebody that's ADD, you can't listen and have all that going on at one time, and it's distracting, and it takes away from paying attention to what the child is saying as well. So it's the best of both worlds.
That is amazing.
Yes,
that y'all have that set up.
That is actually the premise behind child advocacy centers. Everything else that we do is just a bonus. Next we have our main lobby, and it's comfy, and when parents come in, we will have them sometimes, we'll be walked through if their child's in counseling, and they may have worked late last night and they're coming in for a morning session, and we'll find them nodding off this way. We just turn the light off and let them go, because they may need that moment. We let them have it, and when the child comes out, they wake them up and it's all good. So, but this is our main waiting area.
This is such a cozy little spot. When you walk in, you just feel at home and safe.
Right. At the other building we were in on South Railroad Street, the walls were yellow, and when we decided to build, and we own the building outright, we waited until we raised enough money. We have a very, not only a resourceful board of directors, but very business-minded and very smart in making decisions for the center. And so we waited until we had the money so we wouldn't have a mortgage or rent, because we never know what's going to happen with funding.
Right.
And we asked the parents, what color would you like to see in the new building? They all said yellow walls. Okay. When we first got here, the yellow was so bright it looked like Big Bird blew up in here. And I was like, we've got to do something. So we had to get it repainted, and it was more of a mellow yellow. So but it's very homey. It's very cozy feeling and warm feeling for the family.
It's
so
beautiful.
Yeah. And then Alma is our office manager / family advocate. And I actually, although Alma's really kind of my right-hand person, for me, her role as family advocate is more important, because she is the one that is truly responsible for making sure that these families' needs are met. When they're in crisis, Alma's the one that helps them get through it.
It's nice to meet you, Alma.
Nice meeting you, Miss Rebecca.
Anything that you'd like to say about what it is?
Well, I've been here for 16 years, and it's been a pleasure. Despite the fact that we meet these families in such crisis, it's truly been a pleasure helping these families and seeing them through the process. So I think I love my job, and I truly believe in our purpose of being here.
Well, we appreciate everything that you do for the community.
Next room is our play therapy room, and this is probably, when you look at being the therapeutic aspect of what we do, all children, siblings, and families of that victim can come here for counseling at no cost to the family. It doesn't matter if they come in for 6 weeks, 6 months, 2 years. As long as that family needs this process, we are here. We could have a child that goes to court, their offender may go to jail, and 2 years later, offender's getting out, child finds out offender's getting out of jail, starts having nightmares, starts having panic attacks. We tell them, call us back. And we've had several that have done that over the years. But that's what we're here for. And again, it's at no cost to the family that we serve. And a lot of that stems from the budget that we have, that we're able to have a full-time or a part-time therapist that is here 3 days a week, and a lot of centers do not have someone on site. So that makes a difference for us as well. This is our play therapy room, and this is where kids who can't always verbalize what's going on, they may not be able to tell you how they're feeling about something, but they can act it out.
Right.
You always hear about these kids that are throwing temper tantrums and they didn't do it before, or they're aggressive and they didn't do that before, or they're depressed and they're shy and reserved, never been like that. Well, this is a way that they can do that. One of the great things that we have here is we had applied for a grant as a United Way partner agency. We also had the opportunity to apply for a United Way Youth Council grant. They do their own fundraising, and I went to them to talk about what we wanted. Something as simple as this, which is a hand-carved courtroom, can help Miss Beverly really set out the way the room is going to look when they go to court.
That is
And so they have the figurines that are able to say, okay, you're going to be sitting here, the offender's going to be here, but you're going to look at the ADA. You're going to be paying attention to this, and it makes a difference when a child can already have it in their head that it's not as scary as it seems.
Right.
Then by the time they see the courtroom, then they get acclimated to the real courtroom, and then the day that they show up for court, they've already got that anxiety out of the way.
That is great.
So thank you to the United Way Youth for allowing us to be able to get the funds to do that. This was one of those things that I've wanted for so long, so badly, and that's our medical room. We were having children, and I remember Jan Castile, who was the DHR director now, but at the time she was the supervisor over intake. And there was a child that had gotten to the emergency room who was needing a sexual assault exam done. When she got there, it was 6 o'clock in the evening. She left at 7 o'clock the next morning. And it was, at that point, it was my mission to make sure that that never happened to another child in Russell County. And that was all because, again, Jan was the one that said something's got to change in this situation. And we were able to get a nurse. She was our vice president at the time. She resigned from the board. Sandy Gentry, who worked with the school system, she went to training, came back, and was certified as our sexual assault nurse examiner. From that, over the years, we've been able to do things a little bit differently, and then we actually had this room was donated. The cabinetry, the flooring, the hospital bed, everything was donated. The colposcope is probably it's the biggest expense that we have. It's a $14,000 piece of equipment.
Wow.
It is worth every penny that we raised to purchase that equipment, because when a child comes in for an exam, we want it to be the least invasive. It magnifies like 1,000%, and the nurse is able to take pictures. And when she takes the pictures, she can transfer it to the computer, and that way it can be saved for the DA or prosecution whenever the case comes up. But it makes a difference when we have all of those parties that are working together all under one roof to be able to provide those services for the kids and the child not having to go to the ER, sitting in a room with 50 other people waiting to be seen, and it's comfortable. I would love to give credit though to Central High School. We had 3 art students that came out and did the mural for us and made the tree. And we had another lady that actually came out and painted the ceiling.
Oh.
We had a child one time that said, y'all really need to put something on the ceiling so that we have something to look at. Only women will get that, because you don't want to sit and count tiles. And since we don't have tiles, they were able to do the different things like the monkey in the tree and the big tree with the heart in the middle, and also the kids have something that keeps them occupied while the exam's going on. So
That's awesome.
but we're proud of this. This has truly made a difference in the needs of the kids being met. This is Deidre Rosser, who I told you does the forensic interviews as well as the prevention program, goes out and educates the youth about personal safety. In the years prior to us having that program, we averaged about 50 to 55 interviews a year. 1 year after being in the schools, our numbers jumped 110%. It's been that way ever since. So there's no doubt in my mind. Can I give you the exact stat? No. But Deidre and I talk about it on a regular basis about how we know that this program is what's making it happen the way it is, because kids are realizing that, hey, okay, yeah, this is abuse. I thought everybody had this done.
Right.
And Deidre will come in and she'll say, let me tell you what happened at school today. And again, it's another one of those parts when people love their job, and it just does my heart a lot of good when they walk in, or Deidre will be on the phone. I just left the school. Let me tell you about this child that called today, and she did this or he did that. And you know that they love what they do.
And I do, and I think Lynn has mentioned is my job is kind of twofold, because I am the prevention specialist and the forensic interviewer, and it just, being in the schools just makes it a little easier when a child comes in and they see a familiar face when they come through the door, and then it puts them at ease. So that way the interview goes pretty smoothly, and I enjoy that aspect of it. Yeah, they don't feel like they're speaking to a complete stranger because they have seen me before.
Well, again, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this is the room that we have our team meeting, that we talk about every case that comes to the center. We do that twice a month. And I'd love to brag on our new cabinetry. We've only had it a week. You can still smell the fumes from where they glued the cabinet together. But this was donated to us by Team Realtor through the board of directors of Phoenix City. And this is like an $8,000 cabinet. The stuffed animals and the blankets are available so that when kids leave after doing the interview, they get to come in and pick a stuffed animal or a blanket to take home with them. It's just that when you give something to a child who's already going through something, especially with sexual abuse, when kids' innocence in their childhood has really been robbed they've been robbed of it, we don't want to give them a used stuffed animal to feel like they're just used beings, because they've already been used in a way that they shouldn't have. We had a child that had come in for an interview, and it happened to be a Friday. It was a day like today where it was a little slower. We didn't have a lot of people coming in and out, and she was getting ready to have her interview. She went in and she was already anxious, and then when she came out, she was sitting here on the couch and everybody else was in the room, and she kept asking, am I the only one here? Typically when we hear that, we're thinking they want to make sure that nobody else is listening.
Right.
That's not what she was asking. After about 10 minutes of questions, it's like, okay, now I get what she's asking. She wants to know, is she the only one this has happened to? This is how we come up with a marble jar. So when a child's leaving, they get their stuffed animal or blanket, and then we ask them if they've gotten a marble out of the jar. They'll say no, and we ask them to take a marble and drop it in the jar. As soon as it hits, then we say to them, now you're in with all of the kids that have been here just like you. And their faces are just like, wow, that many kids. How many are there? Like thousands? And then we tell them, yeah, there's about 2,400 marbles in there. Sometimes it's millions, sometimes it's 50. You know, it depends on the age of the kid. They're not real sure how to tell and gauge the numbers. But I think it's just that knowing that they're not the only one that's going through something. And then we give them all the support from there on. So we love our marble jar.
That is a great idea.
But that's kind of a reflection of who we are and what we do. So,
Well, Lynn, this makes me very emotional being here, but it takes a very special person to do what you do. And I just want to thank you for what you do and all the years that you've spent doing what you do. And all these little tiny touches that you have here at the center just makes these children feel so loved when they walk in through here. So thank you again for doing that.
thank you. Again, we can't do it without people like you and without the community. So,
And we know that the community is going to want to get behind you now that they've seen the center, even more than they have. So if there's a way that someone in the community could make a donation to you to help this work continue, can you tell us how that could happen?
sure. And it's funny. I'll have an envelope that'll come in through the mail, and it may be somebody that sends a letter and says, "This is all I can do. I'm on retirement, whatever. I'm going to get a $5 check." I'm here to tell you that that $5 means as much to us as a $50 check, a $500 check, or a $5,000 check.
Right.
Because that means that somebody's giving up their hard-earned dollars to make a difference. But they can send it in by mail. We'll send a thank you letter that they can use for tax purposes if they want to do it as a contribution, or to let them know that they've made a contribution. They can email me at lynnhammock@rccac.org. And ask more questions about what they can do. We do not have a formal, again, we're nonprofit, it takes money to make money. We don't have a formal way of doing anything online through PayPal or anything like that. However, I can take credit card donations and that kind of thing if somebody's dealing directly with me. So anybody want to know anything, all they've got to do is come in and ask. And I always say, if anybody wants to know where our money is going, make an appointment to come in and see me. I'll take you through the building. I'll tell you how our money comes in, and I'll tell you how we spend it. Because I feel like transparency is important to our community to know that this is what's being done. And again, we reach 8,000 kids in this community a year through our prevention program. And when we look at the cases, and at 31 CACs in the state, and when you look at the average cases being turned over to prosecution, the national average is our state average is around 27%, 28%. We're at 57% prosecution rate. That's high.
Yes.
It may not sound it, but that is high
Yes.
compared to others. So we feel very good about the team that we have that works with us, and a DA and a DA's office that works in law enforcement that works so hard to prosecute our cases. So we're the healing end, they're the prosecuting end.
Well, that's great. And again,
Thank you so much. Thank you. You're going to make me cry. Stop.
This is Lynn Hammock, and she's with Russell County Child Advocacy Center. And thank you for joining us today on Faces and Places, where you never know whose face you'll see or where we'll be.